It is probably safe to say that most of you would like to forget your awkward teenage years, but not Jian Ghomeshi. He's actually chosen to celebrate them. He's got a new memoir called 1982. In that one seminal year, a 14-year-old Jian was consumed by his two obsessions, a high school dream girl named Wendy and David Bowie.
Ground control's a Major Tom.
Jian wanted to be Bowie, but instead, he was a Persian Canadian teen finding his place in a largely white Toronto suburb. Much of 1982 is about the search for acceptance, something Jian would find later. First, as a member of the folk rock group Moxie Frubus.
A palatial palace, that was my home. Now I eat humble pie.
Then as host of that CBC talk show, Q, where he had his now infamous dust-up with Billy Bob.
You would prefer me to only do this interview not mentioning at all, and just to clarify,
that's correct, yes.
at all that you've ever done anything in terms of acting, screenwriting.
That's correct.
That interview received attention around the world, but Jian stands by a different accomplishment, being what he thinks is the first, okay, maybe only, Persian Canadian new wave writer.
Jian Ghomeshi! Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, George.
You're a #1 bestseller.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. It's an interesting choice, too, to write it in this sort of structure. Because you're too young to write a memoir, although guys younger than us will write memoirs.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should.
Yeah.
So you made a conscious choice. None of this deals with the Jian Ghomeshi that everybody came to know.
Right.
Right? Conscious choice?
Absolutely, absolutely. I had no desire to write a life story. In fact, I had said no to doing that kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It just wasn't for me because I'm more energized by doing something creative. So I wanted to tell a couple of stories, maybe make some cultural observations. And once I started writing, I had this kind of eureka moment where I thought I could write about this one year. And it's about being 14 and wanting to be Bowie. And desperately failing, and
but we all have failed at being Bowie.
And being in love with an older woman,
yeah.
Wendy, who is 16, because she reminded me of Bowie. It's about being a first-generation immigrant kid, desperately trying to fit in.
It's a book about acceptance, man. It's a book
Yeah.
about a search for acceptance. There's
Yeah.
all these little parts in it where you are working through your way in. And then when it works, and when it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, I mean, in the end, it all works because we end up getting older and we realize, who cares? But in that moment, there's a lot of this where, no, who cares is the key, bro.
Yeah.
Have you got there yet?
No. No, you seem to have graduated to some higher place. I'm still neurotic. When I was 14, I do chronicle this in quite some detail, earnestly in the book. My nose had grown faster than the rest of my body. So there was for a while, like my nose, half of my body mass. Like seriously, the nose grew.
Is that true?
It was like an industrial size.
Hold on a sec. 1982.
What is this?
Let's see if that's true.
I was going to say my body's caught up. Oh.
I have a Thornley 1982-83
Look
yearbook.
at you. All right.
Yearbook. Let's see. Okay, there's you in the Student Association, always in the union.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
That's with
There he
my
is.
mod jacket on.
That's the guy there. Look at that. He's showing up here. There he is. What's interesting? Now, but in a super Canadian white bread way, they named him Jian Ghomeshi.
Right, yeah.
Jean. Your nose looks normal there, man. Is it just the angle?
No, I think that's the angle, or maybe I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just the way it felt. But yeah, look at that. What a weird haircut too. I got sort of a Ringo kind of,
Your early interviews, what were they like? Your moments?
You mean when I was first interviewing people?
No, when you were interviewing, yeah.
Yeah. I found them really terrifying early on. I had an horrendous interview with Harrison Ford in my first year. I was doing a show called Play, and he was I don't know what the technical word for it. Oh yeah. He was a real jerk.
He's not a very giving guy.
Well, the thing is, I didn't know that this is kind of his MO during interviews, or at least it was during the time. I don't know the guy. He was just very uncooperative, and I got really intimidated by that. I got freaked out. I feel like I have the confidence now. This was 9 years ago. I feel like I have the confidence now to sit down and anybody can do whatever they want and when I'm facing them. And
Billy
part
Bob.
of it's, well, Billy Bob, sure, yeah. I mean, I think my honest feeling is that the audience is always right. The audience will always know, sense a situation and decide whether they agree with what's happening or not. So in the Billy Bob case, after a while, and again, I don't know him. You know, he goes on other shows and calls me names. I've never said anything bad about him publicly. I've said worse about Harrison Ford, apparently. But you know, he at some point, I mean, this went on for about 15 minutes. I just started to let him talk. Yeah. I said, okay, he'll talk, the audience will decide. It's a live program, and that's kind of what happened, and it didn't turn out so badly for us.
You know, early interviews, early. I've got an early interview that you conducted. Really early.
Here. Bonjour, salut et bienvenue à Les Étoiles d'aujourd'hui. Nous parlons à les gens plus intéressants du monde. Aujourd'hui, je parle avec Napoléon Bonaparte. Dites-nous votre histoire, Monsieur Bonaparte, s'il vous plaît.
That is very impressive. I don't even know what that is. That's clearly from just around high school.
Yep. Did you know at that point you were going to be an interviewer? Did you ever think journalism was the way to go?
I remember being 12. Okay, you tell me if this happened to you. I remember being 12, so that would be, you know, around 1980,
yeah.
And thinking, I would love to be in the media somehow, but it'll never happen because my name is too funny.
Yeah.
And I look a little weird, and my parents are from this strange place that everybody calls evil. So that's just not an option to me. Because I would play road hockey, and I would be commentating the road hockey. I wanted to be Bob Cole, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking that just wasn't a possibility. Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, of course not. I mean, I didn't even know it was a job. Like, I didn't know it could be done. I had no idea how to get connected to it on any way, and I knew that with a name like Stroumboulopoulos, I couldn't even play hockey because it wouldn't fit on the jersey. Yeah. So there was just no way. We couldn't even afford hockey. The idea of being an ethnic kid in an ethnic neighborhood is realer than most people understand. You just don't have these possibilities.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it happens, and it feels like a fluke.
I think part of it is, you know, to be sort of pedantic about it, but you know, Canada has dramatically changed. Canada has become more urban. Canada has become more diverse. Some of the seeds of what Canada was are still there, and we love them. And I'm very aware of the great legacy of Canadian history. It's not like we want to deny that. But you and I are part of the new Canadian experience. Yeah. And so not only do I, in a strange way, feel a little bit less like an outsider, but I feel like if I am an insider, this is my country. That's why I stay here, because this is a country made of guys like you, women and men like you. Yeah. Women and men like you and I. Yeah.
This goes back to his Bowie thing.
Men and women like you and I. Yeah, so I think you understand what I mean.
What you're saying,
I'm a broadcaster, by the way.
Stick around. More with Jian after this.
I want to find out if Jian has plans to run for political office. More with Jian and very funny man, K. Trevor Wilson, on our Three Things panel.
What should the initiation rituals be for joining a club?
Little known fact, the initiation for accounting is you straight up have to kill a dude.
Appreciate you having me. This is great. You host the hour.
You have done your research. Yeah. Now you host Q.
That's true. I'm guilty of that.
What does Q stand for?
Okay, now, Q, it's simple to me. Q stands for politics, performance, people, right here. These people right here.
Here's a question. Why not call it P?
Because that, my friend, is what people would expect. Am I right? Give me that. Boom. Damn it, right there.
Stromoboulopoulos. From 22, that's awesome, dude. That is awesome. Run for political office for you, yay or nay?
I think at this point, no. Sorry. Sorry to the one person who was disappointed by that.
Everybody else is going. I think at this point, no is perfect for a political answer.
Well,
and an honest answer.
Well, actually, the reason I'm saying at this point now is because for many years I would think that would be something I want to do. I was president at York University of the Federation of Students there. I've been a political activist in the past. I just feel like sometimes I feel like there are places you can be more effective.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Well done. Jian Ghomeshi, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, my friend. Good thing.
Agents on.
Jian wanted to be Bowie, but instead, he was a Persian-Canadian teen finding his place in a largely white Toronto suburb. Much of 1982 is about the search for acceptance, something Jian would find later. First, as a member of the folk rock group Moxie Frubus.
A palatial palace, that was my home. Now I eat humble pie.
Then as host of that CBC talk show, Q, where he had his now infamous dust-up with Billy Bob.
You would prefer me to only do this interview not mentioning at all, and just to clarify,
that's correct, yes.
at all that you've ever done anything in terms of acting, screenwriting.
That's correct.
That interview received attention around the world, but Jian stands by a different accomplishment, being what he thinks is the first, okay, maybe only, Persian-Canadian new wave writer.
Because you're too young to write a memoir, although guys younger than us will write memoirs.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should.
Yeah.
So you made a conscious choice. None of this deals with the Jian Ghomeshi that everybody came to know.
Right.
Right? Conscious choice?
Absolutely, absolutely. I had no desire to write a life story. In fact, I had said no to doing that kind of thing.
Jian Ghomeshi! Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, George.
You've been #1 bestseller.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. It's an interesting choice, too, to write it in this sort of structure.
It is probably safe to say that most of you would like to forget your awkward teenage years, but not Jian Ghomeshi. He's actually chosen to celebrate them. He's got a new memoir called 1982. In that one seminal year, a 14-year-old Jian was consumed by his two obsessions, a high school dream girl named Wendy and David Bowie.
Ground control's amazing.